Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 school board meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item C, adjustments in the agenda.
I wouldn't call it an adjustment, but item 7, which was for a nomination of a teaching candidate, we do not have one to bring forward this evening, so we can either vote to amend that or just skip it when we get to it, whatever is the board's pleasure.
We can skip it when we get to it. I
Okay.
think that'll be just as easy. Thank you. Item D, approval of the minutes. We do have two sets. We have minutes from April 13th school board meeting and the special school board meeting on April 27th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2021 school board meeting and the April 27th, 2021 special school board meeting.
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Item E, communications and correspondence.
I have a letter of resignation, a letter of retirement that are circulating.
Okay.
Hopefully they're down the table by now, okay? And I will address those in my report.
Beth, will you send those back up to Abby when you're done?
Yes.
They went that way before she arrived. Thank you. And do you have anything for us tonight, Beth, yet?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you. Public participation will be sent through email for our board member Elizabeth Alteri. So that's at ealteri@elserschools.org. Those submitting comments are asked to provide their full name, please. Item G, administrative board reports. Mr. Clifford.
Good evening. You have my report. One exciting thing about the end of the year is not only all the festivities, but get to iron out class rank and things like that. And so tonight I brought the Valedictorian and the Salutatorian for the class of 2021. Come on up, guys. So first, I'll give you some information about Lilia Hanson. She's our salutatorian. So Lilia completed her high school career with a grade point average of 100.76, and she has earned 21 college credits. She will earn her honors diploma and has received awards in science, music theory, music appreciation, and algebra. Lilia is a member of the National Honor Society, National Science Honor Society, and Tri-M Music Honor Society. She participated in the Pine Tree Piano Competition, 3rd place, Music in the Park Jazz Competition, 1st place, and the highest jazz solo rating. Lilia participated on the swim team, jazz band, pit band, Spanish club, green team, had a recycling center, and student council where she was secretary and president. On her own time, you may see her as an English tutor at EEMS to ELL students, DeFi swim, DeFi childcare helper her freshman year, or involved in a piano trio with MDI and John Baptist students. Lilia is also going to the Ivy League as undecided. She's attending Barnard College, which is a part of Columbia University.
Amazing. Congratulations. No,
I'd like to know when you sleep.
I was going to say the same thing.
Every time.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Fantastic.
Can we ask what you think you might study to go on to be?
I'm undecided right now, but I'm interested in studying Spanish. If I had to pick today, right now, that's probably what I'd say.
Interesting, very nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing
Very proud of you.
accomplishments. Awesome. Thank you so much.
On to the next undertaking.
And and now class of 2021 EHS valedictorian is Pedro Little-Seabold. Pedro completed his high school career with a grade point average of 101.2, and his SAT score was a 1530 out of 1600. Wow. He has earned 28 and a half high school credits in 3.5 years, 21 college credits, and has a 4.0 college average in those classes. Academic awards include AP Scholar with honors, College Board National Recognition Programs, National Merit Scholar semifinalist right now, Russell Sage Award, Phi Beta Kappa Award, semifinalist for the 2021 Presidential Scholarship, which we're still waiting to hear, and was an EHS Student of the Month. Pedro studied abroad in Chile his sophomore year. He volunteers with Climate to Thrive and interns at the Frenchman Bay Conservancy. Pedro is a very talented soccer player. He's also self-employed with his landscaping business for both residential and commercial businesses. Pedro is heading to the Ivy League to attend University of Pennsylvania to major in business management and innovation.
Incredible. No.
Can I ask you, how do you feel studying abroad played a part in this? Is this something you really highly recommended to other students coming up behind you?
Yeah, personally it played a really big part, I think, in my journey. I couldn't say anything for the academics, but I definitely think for personal growth and like how I am as a person, it really allowed me to kind of develop communication skills and like develop my Spanish better, which is obviously a skill as well. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to doing it in the future, and I think everyone should do it.
Absolutely.
But, you know, everyone has their own comfort zones, and, you know, there's a lot of possibilities, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is amazing. I wish you both could see all the smiles.
I know.
I know.
Yes.
I am just so
Just
proud of you.
incredible. Yeah. Thank you
for
so
representing.
much.
Congratulations.
Good luck in the future.
Very exciting.
And Pedro graduated early by a semester, so on the way in, I hadn't seen him
Wow.
seems like just since soccer season, so
Wow.
when he
Amazing.
came in, I was like, geez, I haven't seen you in months. So important dates that are coming up for the end of the year for our seniors. May 29th is the prom from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the junior parking lot.
Excellent.
June 1st, we'll have our National Honor Society induction, and that's at 6 p.m. in the junior parking lot. June 2nd will be the HCTC Awards at 6:30 in the junior parking lot. June 3rd is the Class of 2021 parade, followed by class night at 5:30. And the class night will be in the junior parking lot. June 7th through the 11th is marching practice for our seniors, and that'll start at 9 o'clock and go until noon time, and that's at Del Luz Stadium. June 11th is our graduation, and that is at 6 p.m. at Del Luz Stadium. The rain date is the next day, June 12th at 6 p.m. And June 15th is our last day for students.
Excellent.
All the senior parents got a letter home today representing these dates and a little explanation of each, where they are and expectations and things like that. So, yeah, it's an exciting time for the next few weeks and
Great.
get everything in, and hopefully the weather holds up.
Yeah. Absolutely. The parade itself, what time does that start?
5:30.
So that's at 5:30.
Yeah,
in
so
class.
we'll line
Okay, perfect.
up at TJ Maxx at 5:30.
Okay,
And start right at 5:30, and then
Great.
they will drive right into the high school parking lot,
Yeah.
and then they'll just walk over to the junior parking lot, and
Excellent.
we'll start class night.
excellent.
Will it be the,
Right.
will it be
Third,
the
June
same path?
3rd.
Dan, will it be the same path as it was last year?
Yeah, same as last year. So go down High Street, then left down Main Street, then a right up State Street,
Okay,
and then back onto Route 1A to the high school. Yep.
excellent.
Excellent.
Yep. And as far as tickets go, and parents got this information, so the class night, each graduate has 2 tickets. And then for graduation, they each have 8 tickets, which is more than usual. Usually they get 4.
Nice.
So yeah, we're glad we can accommodate that.
Will those events be streamed at all as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
so-
class night will be streamed, graduation will be streamed, HCTC awards will be streamed. Yep, those 3.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Is marching practice going to be streamed?
No,
Okay.
no. Sometimes
That would
that,
probably be the most entertaining.
sometimes that's ugly, so we won't
It always is
stream
very
that. Although
entertaining.
it will be different this year because they'll have so far to walk. They won't march. It'll be more like a college
Yes.
graduation,
Yes.
so they'll walk in and take their seats.
Take their seat, yeah.
So Mrs. Wright and I were talking about that today, that rehearsals will be pretty easy.
You're apt to get out of that one a little quicker than
Yeah,
usual.
usually the first day and a half, it's all marching. That's all they
Yes,
do.
yes.
So they can, understand it a little better. But this year, there won't be any marching, they'll just walk in.
I recall it well.
Yeah.
All right.
Have we resolved
Excellent.
the bathroom issue for prom?
Yeah, we have 4 of them coming, and they're the nice wedding ones. they call them.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
so
there's space for a dress.
we found classy porta potties. So that's what we were looking
Thank
for, and
goodness.
we found them.
I have to say, that is the term of the evening.
Yes.
Classy
Classy
porta
porta
potties.
potties.
That's right.
Awesome, and
important.
have you got all the things sorted out for how many tickets kids are getting for prom and everything?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, most of the kids have bought their tickets already. They've been for sale the last couple weeks.
Very exciting,
Yeah.
very.
Wonderful. So glad to have these.
Yeah, and we
you.
got a tent,
Events.
150 by 60. That will cover half of the junior parking lot, and that's why all those activities are inside the
Yep.
tent. There won't be a tent for graduation because it's too big,
Yeah.
too big of a population. So
Yeah.
we just need good weather on the 11th.
And
Great.
did we decide if students from outside of Ellsworth can come to prom?
They can.
Great,
Yep,
good.
yep.
My niece is
Excellent.
coming, so she's very excited.
Oh, good.
Wonderful.
She goes to HCTC, so, but a lot of schools aren't even offering
Yeah.
that as an option this year, so that's really
Right.
incredible
Yeah.
for them,
Right.
so.
Yep.
Wonderful.
And just I cannot thank you enough.
Mhm.
Cannot thank you enough. This was something that so many people contacted me about, worried about, and you hit every note, you covered every question, you guys put in a ton of effort into making sure this happened, and after this year, with our seniors having such a abbreviated type of
Yeah.
year, to let them end this way,
Yeah.
it means so much.
It's exciting.
Just thank you.
Well, and there have been a lot of people from the community and on staff and central office that have just worked together to make it happen, and we want this to be memorable for the kids. for sure.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
Wonderful.
And it will be.
Thank you.
It
Yeah.
will be,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Dan. Erica?
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
guys. So on May 3rd, the entire middle school was back at the same time in the building since March 16th, 2020. It was an amazing feeling. The 3rd was pretty special. It was nice to have our family back together again, and I think things are going really well thus far. We celebrated the 5th graders that morning with a little dance party and breakfast up at the track. Unfortunately, the 7th graders got they got their special breakfast, but their dance party got canceled because of rain in midweek. So I owe the 7th grade a dance party for sure. But we are, still encountering a few challenges with lunch and coverage and things like that, but we're working through it. Transportation is still kind of an issue. We're doing second runs. Mr. Wood has been incredible with working with transportation to make sure that we have what we need and we have people going where they should be. But it is still a challenge. There are a lot of kids, and those guidelines haven't really changed much, so it is challenging. But we're working through it, and it's going really well. And the kids are so happy and so excited to be there every day. And just the whole feeling in the building has changed, I think, quite a bit. So it's really nice, and I'm very excited to have them all back in one place. So my kids are home. So the week of May 3rd through the 7th, we celebrated our staff during Teacher Appreciation Week. And I wanted to thank a couple people, the PTF, Morton's Moo, Pat's Pizza, Flexit, Machias Savings Bank, Stanley Subaru, and Helen's Restaurant for either providing some sort of discount, donating some goods, or dropping by some small gifts for our staff. It was an incredible week, and they felt really appreciated. And especially from this year, it was nice to have something a little bit every day. We had something for them. So they really, really enjoyed that week. And I think, big thank you to all those businesses and PTF for helping us out with that. I'm extremely pleased to report that Mr. Downs, I think a few months ago I had told you that he was nominated for Hancock County Teacher of the Year.
Yes.
He was one of 3 finalists. So he went to the interview. He did a great job. Unfortunately, he didn't win, but he represented himself and our school very well. So congratulations to Mr. Downs. That's a big accomplishment to be a finalist in that.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Frost and Mrs. Wood have been working with me on developing a student wellness survey for our middle school students. We're really just trying to gather some data and gauge the temperature of where kids are in their social and emotional health, and where the needs are so that we can work with them to help in any way we can. So that survey went out this week to students. We're encouraging all students to fill it out. It is optional. The data stays right with us. So anything that the students write stays right with Mrs. Frost and Mrs. Wood. It's not shared outwardly, but it'll give us an idea of where we need to go from here. As you know, we've talked all year about being very concerned about the social and emotional well-being of our students, and we still are. We're still experiencing some of that, some anxiety pieces, things like that. So we're trying to gauge where the need is and where we can best focus most of our efforts. So if your children come home and they're talking about the survey, that's what it's all about, and we are encouraging every student to fill it out because it's helpful information for us. Baseball, softball, track, we're all underway. We are rocking and rolling. This week we have games almost every night. We got rained out tonight, but we really are full swing. We have a ton of kids participating. Last night one of our kids hit a walk-off home run to win the game for the baseball team, which was amazing. So the kids are having fun. They come in with all their bags. They love it. So it's fantastic. Track is going really well. We have our second track meet tomorrow, I believe it is. So we're really in full swing. Theater is also still meeting for rehearsals, and we're working on a time where we are going to do a final performance, hopefully live streaming. And if any guidelines change further, we'll go there. But Mr. Wood and I are working with Mr. Turner to try to find a date and time, and we'll get that advertised as soon as we can. But they're coming along nicely. I think it's really exciting. It's something that Nick wrote, and the kids are having a blast with it. So pretty exciting. One other thing that I didn't have on my report, but I wanted to mention that I think is really important is Officer Merchant has joined us as the school resource officer, as you know, and it has been tremendous. He's been there in the morning for arrival and at dismissal almost every day. And he brings a calming presence to the loop, I'll be honest with you. It's been very nice. And
That's excellent.
we've really appreciated his help because he's gone down to the crosswalk when we need him to be down there near the Mill Mall or right in the loop and talking to parents about where they drop off. And it's just been fantastic, and people have been incredible. The loop has been, since we brought everybody back in the middle school, it's been busy. And cars are backed up all the way to the Mill Mall, and we just appreciate everybody's patience and calming presence. It's really helpful, and it gets people in and out quicker. So thank you for all of that.
And a note to self, if you can avoid that area, that school pickup and drop-off time.
Yes.
It's not a bad idea, because if you're at the tail end of that line, you're up on the road up there.
Yes.
And people have to kind of go around a long line of traffic, so if you can avoid that spot,
Yeah.
it's not a bad plan to do that.
Yep, and continue to, say goodbye in the car and drop quick and pull out if you can. Or pick up quick and pull out if you can, so we can get people in and out, because it is quite a long line. I just want to mention that parents should be checking their child's jump rope. Progress reports are going to be ready to roll next week, so they should be online checking those out. And next week we are starting NWEA testing. So I'll be sending a communication home to parents just to remind them, make sure your kids getting breakfast in the morning, getting a good night's sleep. It's really important. As we know, those are replacing the MEAs this year. So we are going to kind of create MEA-like testing environment for kids. For 2 weeks, our window is the 17th through the 28th. So we won't be testing every day. Each grade level won't be testing every day, but grade levels are going to test at the same time. So that will be happening, and we'll be putting out a schedule for that as well.
Excellent.
Any questions?
I just have a question. Has there been any progress on lockers?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. So, since we brought everybody back, there are some lockers being used. Some grade
Good.
levels have chosen to use them. Some grade levels are just, they had space in their classroom, so they left it that way. But certainly, yes, kids are using lockers.
Great.
We really are back to, no, I'm gonna say this like normal. There's been a couple upticks in behaviors, like it's good. It's all great
Yeah.
stuff. I was
Right.
walking down the hallway today and I kind of saw one of our middle schoolers like, not keeping his spacing, kind of nudge another one, and I was like, oh, it's typical middle school stuff. So
Right.
it was actually nice
It
to see.
seems kind of normal.
It was actually really nice to see, but I had to be like, keep your spacing,
Right.
So it was good. It was
Yeah.
yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
If I could just follow up with that, Kelly, the other thing, these folks have worked really hard with their staff. When that newest set of guidelines came out, they really looked at them and found ways to incorporate them safely to make things as normal as possible. So lockers are one example of that, but these folks really did a great job.
Yeah.
And I'm not there in the morning because my husband drops off in the morning, but I know that the staff members who are out in the pick-up and drop-off line in the afternoon are always spectacular and friendly and smiling, even when it's hailing. They're out there in their ponchos and they're also a good calming presence.
Yes.
Because they're,
Yes.
they're doing the best that they can, and it helps
We have
when
some-
you're waiting in line.
Absolutely. We have some great staff, and I will say, knock on wood, we've had good luck with the loop this year.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been really horrible, so
Yeah.
it's good. Usually it's just a trouble spot for us.
It's
'cause-
I was gonna say, it
Yeah.
is every year, and
Yeah.
so now
But
that more
people-
people are trying to drop off, it's difficult, but.
Yep,
you know.
and we've asked people to drop off because of the
Exactly.
buses and the busing
Exactly.
situation.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those catch-22s, but I really appreciate everybody's patience because they've just been very good about it, and it goes a long way, and it sets a good example for our kids.
It sure does.
So-
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you,
Thank
Erica.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
Mrs. Clifford?
Hi.
Hello.
All right, good evening. So I wanted to start off with a little assignment that Mrs. Kell did with her second grade students. So second grade has returned to 5 days a week. I think they're finished their third week this week. So Mrs. Kell took her maroon group and her gray group, and she had them each kind of fill out a form, and I included some of these in my report with you, and
Sweet.
kind of wanted to share them with the public. So she asked students what are the best 3 things about hybrid, and then what are the worst things about hybrid. And I'm going to just read a couple. So the 3 best things about hybrid are that I get to take a break. One student shared, I can do my homework in the morning and then have the whole day to play, and I can have help whenever I want, and have to work whenever I want. I can work or play whenever I want. The 3 worst things were I'm tempted to play when I do my homework. I am tempted to watch TV when I do my homework. And sometimes I do not do my homework. So those were the worst things about hybrid from our second grade friend.
of second graders.
I think we can all relate to that.
And what I'm looking forward about in-person learning is to have more friends I can play with. I will not be sad that I do not have school the next day, and the classroom will look a little different. And then there are no bad things about going back to school. That's one of the ones. So I thought that would be cute to share kind of with the public from, the mouth of grade 2 student in Mrs. Kell's class. So I thank her for sharing those with me and so that I can share
Absolutely.
them with you.
Yes, thank you.
So I have a couple of things I just kind of want to highlight off my report for the general public. First, student, Emmeline Ray, applied for a bench, this mask, through the Skylar Buddy Bench Project. And I don't know if you know Skylar, she's a student from Deer Isle, Stonington, and she won a Patriot grant from the Patriots Foundation to provide bunny benches from schools. So Emmeline applied for one, and we've received one, and I was hoping to get both Skylar and Emmeline here today, but I couldn't make it work with timing, so I'm hoping to have them come in June and talk about the process and the bench, but we should be receiving that at the end of May. So for those of you who don't know, a buddy bench is for students at recess. If they don't have anybody to play with, or they're feeling a little lonely, they sit on the bench, and that's a cue for other students to recognize that, they need someone to play with, and so they'll go over and do that. So I'm really excited to do that, and I'm thrilled that we had such a strong leader from a grade 2 student to be able to do that. So that's awesome. Mr. Norwood is working really hard on the bike rodeo, which is coming on May 22nd. We are looking for volunteers to support the rodeo, so you can reach out to Mr. Norwood directly. I included the flyer in my report. I thought Miss G was going to talk about our volunteer training, but she forgot. So we're going to be hosting a volunteer training via Zoom on May 18th.
Okay.
And further details will be posted. We haven't got down the times or anything like that. And as we process applications and reference checks and all that, we'll be focusing on people who want to volunteer for the rodeo first, and then we'll work through field days because we'll need some support for field days. But we're going to focus on that first. But the bike rodeo is set, which is really cool, which is not in my report. Mr. Norwood was able to buy what are called Strider bikes. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're basically convertible bikes, and they progress with students and teaching them how to learn how to ride a bike. And he's been using them all month in physical education, and it is just awesome.
That's awesome.
It's just
Those
awesome.
are great bikes.
It's I think it's one of the coolest things that we've done in the K-4 side as a relation, through support of COVID funding and Rachel and Dave for really thinking outside the box to do that. But they are amazing. The bikes, everything's adjustable, so you can put pedals on, take pedals off, the heights. I mean, it's just, the training support and take them off. I mean, it's just amazing. I'm really excited about that unit he's done, and it's been great. So our K-4 Students Tutoring will end on May 27th. As we kind of wrap up the year, that's a Thursday. We do tutoring Monday through Thursday. And I do want to take a second and thank our bus drivers for that. That's an additional piece. We have wonderful teachers who are tutoring, and I've talked about that a lot. But, the bus drivers come back and they do second runs for that. So they're doing their first runs, and then some of them are coming back and doing runs for our tutoring kids. And it's really making a difference because we have 40+ students in that program right now. So they're really making a difference in helping us support them. And I wanted to thank them personally. And I also want to thank Donnie because, it's my first year, and I always want to make sure all kids are off the bus and everyone's home safely. So he appeases me by texting me every night if I'm not in the front. So I appreciate his special effort in keeping me informed that kids are safe. You can't hear the bus radio from my office, so sometimes if I'm working on a project, I'm not up front. So he always sends me a text, and I appreciate that. We started the NWAs this week for various grade levels, and those seem to be good. Teachers participated in an IT training. Most of the K-4 teachers did it on Friday, and then there's one specific grade level doing it on this Friday coming up. So things are going well. Title teachers have stopped doing lessons, and they're testing our students for dyslexia. That's a protocol that's required from the state. There's 4 components to testing that. And I want to mention again, as we talked about the title teachers, because we were hybrid, they took on more students, so they have to assess twice as many kids as well. So just recognizing that as we're helping kids, the amount of workload still there for teachers, even though we're back full time. Miss G talked about staff appreciation, and I want to do the same thing. I did include a couple of photos of some pies and some little fun, drinky float things that Miss G and I did for staff. It was a great week. We've got lots of people staff really appreciated all of the support from the community and felt, I think it helps with the environment that we're in, and I know it was appreciated. And then vacancies. We're still looking for ed techs to support students, and I do have a long-term sub for grade 1 here as well for that. But that's kind of my report. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Is there any update on kindergarten?
So kindergarten and first grade are kind of in the same boat. We have hired 2 additional ed techs since I was here last. One started, what's today? Today's Tuesday. She started Monday. And then we have another one slated to start. She has to give notice. So we were able to go through the process with 2. That's not really going to be able to bring back kindergarten or bring back first grade. We have gone through applications for first grade, and we haven't been able to find a suitable candidate. So I'm going to be honest, I think we are where we are.
Yeah.
So I don't want to sugarcoat that for parents. I don't want to send a message that I think we're gonna have a long-term sub for first grade. I'm going to be honest with the 3rd grade transition. It was really difficult to get parents to transition to another homeroom. It's been such a hard year, and the connection they have with teachers is a lot different. I mean, our teachers were in your homes, doing hybrid learning, and so I think kind of trying to break that connection was really challenging. I mean, we were able to do it, and we've had a couple of new kids that have moved in, so the numbers are pretty, 15, and then 18 in the other classroom, so it's pretty reasonable. But I don't want to sugarcoat anything or send the wrong message that we're going to be able to hire a first grade teacher and that's going to happen, or we're going to have enough support staff to bring kindergarten out. So I just want to be clear with parents.
At this point, we're like a month away.
Yeah, it's 15, it was 15, it's less now, for opposite days for the kindergarten. So you're going to see your gray group like 15 more times and your maroon group 15 more times based on what we had. And that didn't include the special days that we're planning for kids towards the end of the year. But I don't want to, I want to be open and transparent. We've gone through every application. Anybody who was qualified, we interviewed, and we've gone through the process with 2 ed techs, as I said before. So, as I said before, I'm not going to put kids at risk, and I'm going to, if I wouldn't put my own kid in the room with them, I'm not going to put yours. So I'm not saying that as that we didn't have good applicants, but I think that people need to know that it's not just anybody that can be a first grade teacher, especially if you're asking them to transition to a new person and towards the end of the year with all of the assessments and all the learning things that we need to do. So I just want to be open and honest with people about that.
I appreciate that.
That's kind of where we are. I'm still actively looking for ed techs, and I'm actively going through those applications because we do need them for next year, as well as the rest of this year, so I can get someone in and get trained and be able to do that. I mean, I am working really hard to do that now so that we have a full staff in place going into next year.
Into the fall, yeah.
Yep.
And if anything else, we've got to jump on those applications.
Yep. Yeah, and I think people are getting an idea. I think people are more comfortable in schools too. I think it was hard to go into school.
That's true.
Because there wasn't a lot of information about COVID in kids and the spread, and I think that there's more information now, and I think the public's more informed, and, we have some layers of protection in place. So I just think that, if you're outside the school, I think people are more comfortable doing that now. We do have a lot of support with our college students that are back now.
That's true.
So we have a lot of subs coming in, and they're filling a lot of those holes right now to keep us maintaining, and a lot of the duty holes as well. So I'm grateful for them, and I'm grateful that they're willing to come back to Ellsworth and contribute as graduates. A lot of them are graduates of Ellsworth High School, and it's really great to see.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for being open and honest about that.
Yeah, I didn't want to send the wrong message to parents or create a false sense of hope when currently there's no other applications for the long-term sub position, but I'm actively going through educational technician applications and trying to get stuff in place.
Excellent.
As far as the 3rd grade goes,
Yeah.
thank you. My son is really enjoying being back full-time. He did switch to Miss Beal's class. He loves Miss Beal. He does occasionally cry because he misses Miss McCullough. Because he adored her as well, but it's really has been like you can definitely tell that whole grade level has kind of come together to try to make that transition.
And they do alternate mass breaks, and they'll mix the cohorts up, and we've been able to keep them all at the same recess. Some grade levels we haven't been able to do that, so they're able to see their friends and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's been a blessing. The same thing with Erica. There's a different energy in the building. There's I don't want to say normal problems, but there's normal problems now, like a little, stuff on the recess, a little here and there. So it feels like it is a sense, for us, it's kind of like a sense of relief.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything. I've had the opportunity to stop into school once here, and I've never seen kids so happy to be back to school in my life.
Love it. Good to see. Mrs.
Great
Bowles.
to see.
Good. I was like,
I know. That's how, when I do my presentation, that's how,
she's here?
that's how we had to get it. So good evening. First, a return to school update. So currently, we have 20 students that are fully remote, and the rest are all back either 4 days or 5 days. So Bucksport is back Monday through Thursday. Sumner's back Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and everyone else is back 5 days a week. So for students, Sumner kids on Wednesday, Bucksport kids on Friday, and kids that are fully remote, we're still providing that synchronous learning option for those kids as well. As I reported a couple of months ago, we, for the first time, participated in the Explore Vision STEM Essay Contest, which is a 10-page research project that a team of 3 competed in. And again, that was Ellsworth High School Bridge senior Lily Philbrook, Ellsworth High School senior bridge student Bryce Carter, and then Sumner Memorial High School senior Jenna Shorey. Hannah Shorey, Jenna's mom. Jenna was my board member back in RSU 24. Their project title was Using Synthetic Biology to Alleviate Environmental Contamination of Human Embalming Fluids. Again, for me. We were excited to learn that our students got an honorable mention ranking, which not all teams get a place in this, which ranked them in the top 10% of the national projects, and this is nationwide. So we were really, really excited and proud of them, so I kind of want to honor them. Tomorrow, believe it or not, is our last restaurant. I feel like we just opened and boom, we're done.
Yes.
But we have to end usually every year around this time because our kids need to start prepping for their industry certification exams. So tomorrow is our last day, and next month I will provide you with some fun facts about Brookside Restaurant and how they did this year. Last week, we had our first 2 advisory meetings with the architects that are working on the feasibility study of the HCTC project. So the Early Childhood Advisory Committee and the Hospitality Committee met with architects last week. I have a full slate of meetings tomorrow and tomorrow evening with more of those meetings. These have been really fantastic. I have to thank the industry people. One, people are slammed right now and don't have enough help. No matter what industry I contact, people are slammed at work, and to even ask them to give up 45 minutes to do this is asking a lot right now, and so I'm so appreciative of people's willingness to give up their time to give us feedback to this project, and their feedback so far has been phenomenal and really insightful. So I'm really excited to sit through more of them and then have the committee hear back about how those went.
Absolutely.
Our health occupations program, boy, you want to talk about a program that has struggled this year with all the ups and downs of the pandemic and COVID. We had 10 students earn their personal support specialist license, so that's really exciting, which means they can work in an assisted living facility. We've had one of our Deer Isle juniors, who's a bridge student. She's already been hired and is working in the nursing home in Deer Isle. She doesn't take her CNA exam until Friday, but if you're partnered with an RN at a facility and you've put in X number of clinical hours, so for this young lady, she is actually earning her clinical hours while she's employed. So for us, that's one student that we're breathing a little easier on, that will get her hours because she's working as a CNA already, which is phenomenal.
Excellent.
Mrs. Cody, God love her, and Ms. Foster, they have done 6:45 a.m. med passes to try to get these seniors their medication licenses. And last week, Michelle went at 6:45 a.m. and then went back at 6:45 p.m. so she could get students their med passes. So she's working really hard. Those poor seniors, they're still trying to get their clinical hours for their CNA, even though they've passed the CNA exam. And we got 2 more certified. So we have 2 more seniors that have fully licensed as CNAs, and they're being added to the registry.
Excellent.
And God love them, they're finishing those med passes as best they can, working with the nursing facilities to get those done. I did provide for you, I reported out last month on our enrollment, and I provided for you this time 2 different spreadsheets, one by high school and one by program that I provide annually for you. Enrollment is really good. I couldn't ask for better numbers, to be honest with you. In light of the pandemic and recruiting challenges that we had this year, we're thrilled with our year 1 numbers. When I printed this, we were at 268. What you will find is over the next couple of weeks, that will go up and down. I got 2 more applications today. They're still coming in, which is amazing me. But at the same time, kids have now received their letters, and so as they meet with guidance counselors, we'll have some change their mind. So this number will ebb and flow. If we could stay at 250, we'd be ecstatic. Our numbers right now in our programs, as they've broken down for you, are really, in year 1, very solid. What you'll notice is in the spreadsheet, next to the program name, I have a number in parentheses for you. That is typically what we aim for as an enrollment target. And for some programs, that's the max we can do. And then for others, it's kind of a suggested target based on square footage. So for some, for example, Diesel, it says 16, and we've enrolled 21. What happens is some of those students will be moved to the afternoon session because they're two standalone programs. So we can move some to the afternoon, and I work with the high schools to say which students can work out their schedule on your end to come in the afternoon and flip-flop the following year, which is a little bit more difficult for our smaller schools who only offer maybe one section of certain academic classes. But in the larger high schools like Ellsworth, MDI, Bucksport, we try to work with it to balance that out. So what's been nice is that we over-enrolled our year one kids in a lot of our AM programs to offset our lower numbers for our year two programs, which of course are lower because of the pandemic. So we're really excited that we're at 268. Cybersecurity, we're still at 10, and had another great meeting with University of Maine Augusta today.
Excellent.
To continue building that collaboration and what that program will look like, and I'm really excited about that. By school, our numbers are really good. I got another GSA applicant today. So these numbers from GSA are really, really good.
I've never seen them that high.
I've
Yeah.
never seen them this high. Libby Rosemeyer has worked her tail off with me. She's retiring. And I told her replacement has to be as good to me and work with me as well as she has. But she's worked her tail off to make sure that this is a viable pathway for GSA students. So I'm so appreciative of her and her work to collaborate with us. But we have really solid numbers from all the high schools. Bridge Academy numbers are stable and really good as well. So I'm really pleased with our enrollment. Last but not least, I also want to echo our end of the year stuff. Mr. Clifford, God love him, he always takes care of me because I don't have a space big enough at my school for my awards night. So Mr. Clifford called and we worked it out, and he's done all the setup for me. Thank you, Mr. Clifford. He's gotten me all my chairs, and I just tell him
show
what
up.
to do. I like it. So our awards ceremony, which is also our NTHS induction ceremony, is June 2nd at 6:30. We'll be doing pretty much the same that Mr. Clifford's doing, 2 tickets per student, and we'll be inviting the board, the superintendents, and the principals like we have in the past, because for these kids, sometimes this is their shining moment.
Yes.
We will be honoring students at each of their high schools as seniors like we normally do. What's going to happen is, so that I don't take seats away from family members and from other places, I will be giving all the awards and what I call my script for every student, and the high schools are going to honor the kids
Oh,
so
wonderful.
that they still get their HCTC recognition at their class nights. I just won't be there to do it, which is sad, but I would much rather a parent or family member or staff member of a high school get a seat than me. So the high school principals have been really wonderful about making sure that continues to happen in spite of the pandemic. Finally, we also this year will do our annual Melmac celebration for our program completers, not just our seniors, but our program completers. Since we had sophomores be able to attend a couple years ago, now we have juniors that leave us and go back to their high school their senior year. So now we need to do program completers and not just seniors. So that was new this year, but we'll be doing our Melmac celebration on May 20th. Thank you to Mr. Markosian and Flexit. We will do our annual food celebration, and we'll do it by program area. And Mrs. Mason and Mrs. High, our Melmac advisors, have found some really, really fun decorations for all the different career fields. We'll take pictures.
I can
They were
only imagine.
describing some of
Yeah,
them
that's
today.
right.
Yes, we'll get pictures.
Excellent.
But they'll each get their own individually boxed lunch. Usually we have, a big buffet barbecue for them, but we still wanted to honor them, so we'll still do our celebrations. And instead of us bringing marine and welding to us like we normally would, our Melmac advisors will bring them their celebration, and I've worked with Mr. Haney and Mr. Tripp so that we can identify dates and locations for how we can do that for those programs as well. Any questions?
I'm seeing
No.
lots of acceptance letters on social media.
Yes.
Excited.
Yeah.
about it,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And I just want
It
to say,
is.
these high numbers that we're seeing, even with the COVID year, that's really a tribute to how hard you and your staff have worked. And you've made people feel comfortable that they can do this COVID year or not, and that next year is going to be even better. that wasn't an accident. That was hard work, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And regardless, you made the recruiting work.
Yeah.
Yes, we
So
did.
it really, a lot of extra hours in traveling, but you made it work.
Yes.
And I think that
And
is
the
a testament.
principals of the high schools, we have a pretty fun group.
Yes.
They're a very good group and
Yeah.
highly supportive of the work
Yeah.
that I do and very supportive of me and made sure that I had what I needed and did what I
Excellent.
needed to do for kids. So I'm appreciative of them too.
Very
And I
good.
happen to know the young lady who is working at the nursing home in Deer Isle, and she has really, really loved her time at.
She's
HCTC.
fabulous. We love her. She's a
That's
good
my
girl.
niece.
She's a good girl. She's a very good girl. Thank you.
Thank you so
you.
much, Amy. All right.
I do have a quick question.
Oh, sure.
That was
Yes.
submitted from Krista Little-Siebold, who is wondering if we know a date and time of the 8th grade graduation.
We do. I thought that the end of the year stuff was on a separate agenda item, so I didn't include it in my report.
Oh, that's
So
okay.
that's my
Okay.
fault.
Yeah,
It's
you're
okay.
good.
You can do it. This is
Okay.
fixable.
Okay. We are going to do the 8th grade celebration on the 14th at 11 a.m. We polled students and parents, and they have chosen to do a daytime ceremony and then have their activities after. So we've got some special activities planned for them, a food truck coming. So we're trying to make it really fun with limited things that we can do with the guidelines. We're trying to make it as fun as possible. So we're still in the works of working on all the logistics, but the 8th grade team and I met this afternoon, and we are planning an 11 a.m. celebration for our 8th graders
All
on
right.
the 14th.
Wonderful.
And we are praying for no rain.
That's right.
It'll be up at Del Luce. And thanks to Mr. Clifford too, because he's arranging the chairs for graduation that we're going to hang on to for the 8th grade promotion ceremony. So, yeah.
That's right. By
And
the
the
time
PA
this is
system, he's
over.
hooking us up, so we're good. Thank you, Mr.
Just
Clifford.
so the principals know, Mr. Clifford's already started the party planning because he submitted some paperwork to start billing you guys for.
Your invoices are coming.
Sign that tomorrow, Mr. Clifford.
Well, it is really good to see, though, that it's all being multi-purpose.
That's right.
So it's
That's
like,
right.
it's here, let's use it for this and this
Yep,
and this, and
that's right.
get our time and money out of it.
Absolutely. I agree. All right.
I'm
So
sure Mr. Clifford would agree with that.
unfortunately, Rachel was not able to come to this evening, so we don't have the curriculum coordinator's report live, but you guys received it in your packet, so. So, Mr. Higgins, superintendent's report.
Yes, it won't be as fun as the other reports, but I have some information for you. Just want to start with something the superintendent always starts with, which is the reminder of the budget approval schedule. As you know, at the special meeting on the 27th, you all approved the budget for submission to the council. Just a reminder to people, Monday, May 17th, City Council will hear and hopefully approve the budget that evening. And the budget validation referendum is on Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. And we encourage and remind all of our citizens to please be active and participate in the process. The city will do a great job of getting poll times announced, and we just encourage you to get out there and be part of the process. You heard Mrs. Clifford talk about vacancies. Still want to talk about a couple for FY21. We're still looking for a couple of custodians, and we're looking for ed techs. EMS, I still believe, needs some. HCTC does. Time is getting short, but as April said, she's still looking for them at EES, and it was really a critical piece there. Did have a letter of resignation, a letter of retirement. Jen Legassi, grade 3, is resigning at the end of the year. And Chris Reinig, our school nurse at EEMS, is retiring at the end of the school year. I want to touch base quickly on the student vaccination clinic. I know I communicated with the board members via email. I just want to thank the representatives from Penobscot Community Health Center and Bucksport Regional Health Center for reaching out to us to offer us this opportunity for EHS students ages 16 and up to receive the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. Today's the final day for students to sign up for the May 18th clinic, although I did receive an email from one of our school nurses a little bit earlier asking, can we accept a couple of days later, and we're going to work with the two agencies to see if that's possible. So that's online for the 18th. And I want to thank Mr. Clifford and his staff for helping to get, again, his party planning, helping to get space so that we can have this clinic and this opportunity for families who want to access it. Something that's really interesting and probably not surprising, We have received some questions from parents regarding vaccines for students between ages 12 and 15, which is now been authorized. We did talk about that with PCHC and BRHC, make sure I get that right, about trying to combine them, and we thought, we didn't know at the time when the 12 through 15 was going to receive the authorization, so we're going with the 16 and above on the 18th. Now that that authorization is out there, we'll be talking with them about how we can put together a clinic for 12 to 15. One thing that I do want to clarify for you folks and for the public, these clinics are for students whose families talk with their students and decide to opt for a vaccine. Okay, it's voluntary, there needs to be parental consent. You know, school department, as you folks know, we're not requiring or mandating that students or staff be vaccinated, but we are appreciative of working with these two agencies to make the clinic available to people. So, to me, that's very positive news. Another positive piece to announce, you know, April mentioned we hired a couple of ed techs. I'll give you the names. We have hired Winona Stutz, who will be an Ed Tech 1 in special ed at K through 4, and Deb Wally, who will be an Ed Tech 3 special ed K through 4. We've also hired a administrative assistant for our special ed director.
Excellent.
Shannon Adams, and I believe she'll be starting next week. Carol, is that correct? Yep.
Excellent.
And the other three names on there we'll take up in the agenda item. And I did want to follow with something, you know, we've heard a lot of accolades for students and for staff members. You may or may not have seen it. The Department of Ed did a media release earlier today. You know, typically May 12th is School Nurse Day. Since 1972, School Nurses Day has been set aside to celebrate the unique and specialized division of nursing. This year, Governor Mills and the Department of Ed and the Maine Association of School Nurses, have named all Maine school nurses as school nurses of the year.
Aw,
So just
that
want to
was really
recognize,
nice.
I'd like to recognize publicly Jackie Sandone at the high school, Chris Reinig at EMS, and Joy Foster, even when she's not doing her clinical work, Joy has been very willing to help out and sub. So I just want to make sure that those three ladies are mentioned for all the work they have done this year, and I think that's an honor that's very well deserved and earned by those ladies.
Absolutely. That's really nice that they did that.
And that concludes my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Not that I can think of at the
No
moment.
questions?
All right. Any comments, Beth?
No, not yet.
All right.
Not other than that question that
Okay.
you've already addressed.
Super. So we're going to move on to item H, committee reports. I have 3. Paul has 1, I believe. So, anybody else? All right, Paul, you go ahead.
All right, well, I'm the Legislative Liaison Committee, and yesterday there was a hearing by the Education and Cultural Affairs Committee of the legislature, and there was a bunch of bills that were discussed there, including one that's being sponsored by our state Senator Louis Lupini, and he introduced the bill. It's LD 187, an act to require education about African American history and the history of genocide. And there was several people from around the state who testified about this bill, but I was really, what was pertinent to me and really, what I was really impressed by were 3 teachers from Ellsworth High School who testified on the bill. Heidi Omler, who teaches a year-long class on Holocaust, Katie Hessler, who's our librarian, and Nate Cutting, who's a English teacher, and they all did a great job giving reasons why this curriculum is necessary. But even better than that was that they had 3 Ellsworth High School students who really, they're amazing. They represented our district and their school so well. Ellie Kane, Kylie Robidoux, and Paige Sawyer. And I know Mr. Clifford is well aware of these students and how awesome they are. But if you have a chance, you can, I watched the hearing this morning, so I didn't see it live, but you can watch it on YouTube. You can go to the mainelegislature.gov website and find Education and Cultural Affairs Committee, and there's a list of YouTube hearings that are there, and it's easy to identify the one from yesterday, May 10th. Or if you want, anyone can email me and I'll send you the link to it. But it's well worth seeing. This part of the hearing starts at about the 2-hour and 58-minute mark. So you can, if you want to hear, it's about a 5+ hour hearing. But there was a lot of bills under consideration. So, but I was really impressed with our Ellsworth contingent, and I just want to send out accolades to them. And I happened to talk to Eileen King, who's the executive director of the Maine Superintendents Association last evening, and she was one of the people testifying, and she asked me to make a point of telling our staff, and especially our students, how well they did, in her view, so.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's all I got from that.
Wonderful.
Thank
Would
you,
you
Paul.
send that link to the board?
Sure.
So we can all view that? That'd be
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you for saving us the first 3 hours and letting us read
That's
what we want to watch.
I just fast forwarded until I found where,
Great.
that
I
part was.
appreciate you doing that work.
Yeah.
All right, Finance Committee met on May 3rd. That was to discuss 3 purchase bids, but you're going to see that later in the agenda. HCTC Advisory met on April 15th. Basically, an update from Amy, similar to what we have tonight on enrollment numbers, the proposed program changes we spoke about at the last meeting with the Marine program ending and cybersecurity starting. So that was that, and the live work update too, all the struggles that they've been having with that, but she covered tonight. Dropout prevention met on Monday, May 3rd. This was our final meeting, actually, for the year. We'll resume again in September for this group. We recapped the work that the committee has worked on so far about meeting needs, both academically and socially and emotionally. And one of the things that Annie was going to present tonight, or remind everybody of tonight in her report, but she wasn't able to be here, was that on May 15th at 10 o'clock at Knowlton Park is the Hope Day event for the Yellow Tulip Project. So I just wanted to give that reminder to the community and our schools. And I really hope a lot of people get out and support that event. Everything that they focus on is to kind of smash that stigma of mental health concerns and struggles of everybody. And they're going to have speakers and some music. And so I hope everybody can attend.
And the music is being provided by students, correct?
That I'm not sure if I don't have the
Is that?
finalized details.
I saw a flyer today and I thought it
Excellent.
said something about the band, but I could be wrong.
So hopefully everybody, and it will be a nice sunny day and everybody can get out and enjoy that. So that is it for committee reports, unless anybody else has another. All right. Item I, old business. None. Item J, new business. Item 1 under that is staff and student presentation.
I need to get the.
You need to, that's right. Some IT help.
I think Mrs. Clifford is starting the cottage industry also.
In the meantime, it's music by the EHS show choir and jazz band.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much for that.
As well.
Okay, thank you.
I saw that flyer on Facebook and I remembered like the flash of the.
Thank you. The details weren't worked out when we were meeting, so super. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for the chance to talk about this evening. The handout that I provided for you as an attachment from Eastern Maine Community College is a draft. So that's not something that I will publicly share tonight, but I wanted you to see some of the underpinnings of what we're working with. No, there we go. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about a project that Brian Langley, who is the Bridge Academy director and who you all know and love, has worked really hard on. Brian is very passionate about filling local community workforce needs and utilizing career and technical education to help do that. So I want to talk a little bit about the project that he and I are partnering with Eastern Maine Community College on. So first, I thought it was really important because we have a fairly new board and members of the public, a lot of people really don't understand all what career and technical education encompasses anymore. They have the old vision of career and technical education, the Boggy Brook School, and that's where kids go if they don't want to learn. And that has completely been transformed. In the state of Maine, we have very strict laws that we have to follow to offer programming at a career and technical school. That's very different than other courses you would take at a traditional school. So we have 6 components that we have to prove every year that we are meeting via documentation to the state, grant applications. We have a lot of things we have to do with the Department of Ed CTE school to get our programs approved on an annual basis. So some of those things include industry standards. Every single program has to be aligned to state-approved industry standards, not just standards that we pick at a national level, but standards that the entire CTE community at the state of Maine, as well as the Department of Ed, have vetted and elected in collaboration with industry people. We have to provide opportunities for third-party industry assessments so that kids have the opportunity to earn certifications while they're in their programs. That will help them not only build a resume to enter our workforce, but also to use as a resume builder for college applications should they go to post-secondary. All of our industry standards and curriculum have to be provided with some sort of academic crosswalk. So all of our programs have to also give students academic credit opportunities with your traditional academic subjects as well. Every program has to have some sort of opportunity for students to earn post-secondary credits, whether it's through an articulation agreement, a concurrent enrollment, or a dual enrollment opportunity, so that kids can see the connection between academia, industry, and post-secondary, even if they choose not to do post-secondary upon high school, even if they wait a couple years and go back, they need to have those opportunities presented to them while they're in our programs. Finally, we have to provide partnerships with industry people within our community. So we have to work with industry leaders from a variety of businesses through all of Hancock County that help collaborate with us and give input to us on what are they looking for in a workforce, what are the shortcomings, what are they seeing the trends are in our area, what do we need to push a little bit more in our curriculum or ease up on, because those things change and ebb and flow based on your workers. And then finally, kids have to be able to practice their skills in live time with us, whether it's in a live work environment, meaning people bringing their vehicles in to have the oil changed, or learning how to handcuff and do search and seizure. They have to practice those skills while they're with us. So all of those things have to be documented and proven in each of our programs. So one of the ideas that we have is how can we start taking these things and putting it together? So what kind of pathways can we give to kids? So in looking at the benefits of a program like what we're going to talk about tonight, we obviously need to look at what are our local workforce needs, where are our biggest areas that we're struggling in. We wanted to give recognition to a lot of things that kids are already doing and put it in a more sequential, meaningful way. How can we package resources we already have to provide a pathway for kids? And how can we provide a pathway to a high-demand, high-wage job in our local community so that kids stay and work locally? So the proposed partners for this specific project are our school, Ellsworth High School, Bridge Academy, and Northern Light Health for our health occupations pathway. So currently, our health occupations program, which I talked a little bit about tonight, is a 2-year program. In year 1, students earn their first aid CPR certification, they earn their CNA, and they can earn their personal support specialist license as well. Within the second year, they take the semester-long Eastern Maine Community College medical terminology course. Currently, most kids don't go to EMCC for nursing because EMCC traditionally takes older students, not kids right out of high school. But that transcript of having taken a college-level medical terminology class, we have an almost 100% acceptance rate into 4-year competitive nursing schools, UNE, Hanson, UMaine. This is just one way kids interested in the medical field can differentiate themselves from other applicants when they're applying to health fields in college. Students earn their CRMA certification, which licenses CNAs to pass medication, which is an additional certification level. And then this year, for the first time ever, we're doing EKG certifications for kids that choose to. It was a huge need that Michelle heard from Northern Light Health and our advisory committees. And so kids are getting licensed to administer EKGs as well. The Bridge Academy experience, so what I have listed here, these are things that currently all kids that are in Bridge Academy have access to within the program. But we really kind of want to highlight those as part of our partnership. So first, every year kids apply and get selected to be in a new bridge cohort each year. And they are enrolled in University of Maine college classes for their junior year, for their senior year. They're earning high school credit towards graduation, and they're earning anywhere from 24 to 32 college credits while they're in high school taking these classes, most of which are basic gen ed classes that you would take as a first-year college student. Students complete the WOWI. The WOWI, I love that name. It makes me giggle every time I say it. It's a career readiness assessment. Kids take it, learn about their strengths, their weaknesses. It gives them information about careers in a health occupation field they may not have even really thought of, but it does an inventory of kind of where they're at and where they might think about going that they haven't thought about before. Eastern Maine Community College, over the last several years, has worked really hard to do badges. Those of you that are familiar with LinkedIn and online resumes, now a lot of businesses, colleges nationally are looking for badges on students' resumes online. You click on it and competencies pop up. The Opportunity Readiness Badge is offered to all of our Bridge Academy students, and they also have a Life Ready badge as well. But right now, the Opportunity Readiness Badge is paid for by Bridge Academy, so if you're in our Bridge Academy program, you can do that badge work as part of your experience. Bridge Academy has activities every year that our kids can participate in. Every year we do Summer Academy. Last summer was unfortunately the first time we couldn't do one. This year we are going to do a one-day one at Eastern Maine Community College. And that's a day when we bring our cohort together, and that's when they start building relationships with one another, because part of this experience is building a cohort, learning how to study together, how to use your resources and strengths and weaknesses as a group to help one another. This year, they also did the Zoom with Senator Collins and Senator King. There's different activities throughout the year. 2 years ago, they went to a UMaine hockey game. Just different things to show them what a college experience is like and that they can be successful, that they might not otherwise engage in. And then finally, new this year, is the Near Pier student app. So this is almost like an additional social media platform for kids. You get on this app, and if you're doing this pathway, what happens is you put in your likes, your interests, your program major, what your interests are, and it connects you with other Eastern Maine Community College students that may have those similarities, so you can start forming friendships and getting to know other people as well. Eastern Maine Community College is the other member and partner in this proposed program. Currently, we have a very strong relationship with Eastern Maine Community College's nursing department chair. She is currently in process of looking at our CNA curriculum, and we're discussing the possibilities of our CNA class giving an additional 4 to 8 credits of elective for our CNA students through Eastern Maine Community College. Through this pathway, students would enter the nursing program at EMCC and transfer and receive their associate's degree in applied science. With this program, they would be doing Bridge Academy coursework during the school year and summer. That's aligned to the Eastern Maine Community College nursing major. And what it would do is it would take a 3-year typical program and condense it into 2.
Oh, wow.
So they would do some of the coursework while they're in Bridge Academy, some work in the summers, and then what would happen is they'd have 2 years of coursework. But the other significant piece to this, typically if you're a nursing major at Eastern Maine Community College, you are taking rigorous 4 nursing, science, heavy math classes all at the same time. By parsing this out, students would only have to take 2 each semester at Eastern Maine Community College to get this degree. While in Bridge, our nursing students that choose to, they don't have to do this pathway if they don't choose to. These would be the 5 core classes that our Bridge Academy nursing students could take if they chose to go through this pathway. Currently, we already offer college composition and intro to psych. Oral communication has been approved, and we have an Ellsworth High School teacher that was approved and vetted to teach that course. So that's being built in. And honestly, we're going to make it an option for all of our Bridge kids. because public speaking, one, is a huge workforce skill that many students need, and for a lot of our technical programs, it is a requirement in the program, so this is actually an elective we're going to offer up to everyone. Anatomy Physiology 1 with lab, we are currently working on getting teachers vetted to offer that as well as a dual enrollment class. And then Math for Nurses is going to be taught 99% by Mrs. Cody, who will probably offer it as a summer course and receive a stipend through Bridge Academy for teaching this and offering this to students. It has to be taught by an RN, and who better to teach it than our nursing instructor? So what this does is it fills workforce needs. You've all heard we are going to be slammed over the next 10 years with a huge shortage of nurses and people in the health profession. You can see the U.S. Bureau of Labor said there's going to be 1.2 million vacancies for registered nurses before 2022 when we're there. 2022 is right around the corner. And in Maine alone, we could face a shortage of 3,200 registered nurses by 2025 if we don't take some really sustained targeted efforts moving forward to help with this issue. So things for people to consider and some benefits of this. Northern Light Health partnership in this is going to be a game changer. We are finalizing details, but it's looking like nursing students will have the opportunity through this program to have targeted internships, possibly paid through Northern Light. They also have the Work to Grow program that they already have that also could be utilized by our students, which is you're getting paid for an X number of hours, but only working X number of hours because you're taking classes. And then they pay for those classes, and on the other end, you give them employment for 5 years. So it's kind of double. This is a huge tuition cost savings for family, and I can't reiterate this enough. When you take a 3-credit college class at Eastern Maine Community College, University of Maine, you're looking at well over $1,500. Well over, okay, depending on private, public, 2-year, 4-year. That's ballpark. To take a bridge-year class through this program, it's $40 a credit hour. So it's $120 per bridge class. In addition to that, we have targeted tuition funds for scholarships for families. So we have some bridge students who are not paying anything for any of their bridge classes. It's kind of like financial assistance. So there's that. The other thing that I really talk to students and families about, if you do bridge year, your junior and senior year in high school, and you have a transcript with 25 to 35 college credits on it, one, you are going to absolutely differentiate yourself. And many people say, well, not if I want to go to Bates, not if I want to go to these other schools. They won't care because they'll see that we came to HCTC and we won't get in. False. We have done our research, we have talked to admissions officers, and in fact, that tune has completely swung the pendulum. Now, they look at students that go to CTE and say, those kids know what they want. They've already practiced the skills, they already have entry-level skills, and they're committed. They're not going to drop out and change majors 2 or 3 times, which is what a lot of students do when they go to college. They think they're studying something that they thought they liked, and then they realize, oh, this is not what I thought it was, and they change their mind. The problem with that is that costs time and money. Because you don't get to give back that tuition dollar that you paid for that class. So when you're with us, a lot of this is for free. And if it is what you like, you're saving yourself time on the back end and a lot of money financially. Also, what this does is the stress level of the course load is significantly lessened, because instead of taking 4 nursing classes all at once, you may be taking 2 with this proposal. And finally, for Ellsworth High School students, we have a Hope Mcnally scholarship, and I cannot reiterate this enough. Hope Mcnally is free tuition to Eastern Maine Community College, and what a lot of people don't understand is that Eastern Maine Community College is an accredited institution. What that means is they have articulation agreements with 4-year schools. So for an Ellsworth family, you can go to Eastern Maine Community College for nursing for 2 years for free, and then transfer to Hanson or UMaine, and all your 2-year credits transfer with you through the articulation agreement. So you're only paying for 2 years of a 4-year degree. And a lot of families don't understand that and/or maybe don't know that. So I kind of want to stress that as well. Where we are for next steps, Eastern Maine Community College is going to come and meet with us, walk through the curriculum. They need to give recommendations on our nursing classroom and lab. We need to finalize our academic course offerings and the timeline of when we will offer each of these courses. We'll have to do Brightspace training for staff. That's an online platform, curricular holding platform that Eastern Maine Community College system and UMaine is now using. We will set up a meeting with all of our Bridge Health Occupation students to talk to them about this. And then when this is all finalized, Mr. Langley would like to come and talk about the final components. If you go to the second page of the handout that I gave you, this is what would happen after they finish at Ellsworth High School. So the sequence of courses. And as you can see, it's one class the summer before their first semester at EMCC and just 2 classes a semester. So it really does reduce the stress level of students. Any questions?
So with that reduction in classes, probably allows them to work some then in that field
The
too.
goal would be that they would apply for a Northern Light Health position. Simultaneously and work. And that's part of the partnership. The other neat thing about this is we have Eastern Maine Community College has a nursing pathway right here in Ellsworth. So we're talking about how those things could all, planets align, so that they could take advantage of that locally. Some will want to go to Bangor, and that's fine, but some may want to stay local. So we want to be able to support that as well. So over the next, I'd say 4 to 6 weeks, we're hoping to finalize this. But really, we want to try this year as a model. And, Brian and I tend to think big. And, one of the things that we've talked about is we could do this kind of partnering and provide meaningful pathways for kids in other programs as well.
Yes.
And we have several programs we're offering, have huge workforce needs, automotive tech.
Yes.
I get calls for automotive service technicians almost daily right now. Hospitality and culinary. We have a huge crisis on our hands with workforce. So if we can get this up and rolling, we'd really like to replicate this and package it in such a way that families see the value and benefit, and that it benefits our local industries as well.
Well, and what an opportunity for people who may not be able to afford going to secondary education, or maybe the idea of having all of those loans when they graduate is overwhelming.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Like, what an opportunity to shrink the amount significantly, and to really, be starting yourself off on a better foot when you do graduate, to not have all of that debt under you at the same time.
Well, and I think, we used, many of you may remember Devin Grindle, Ellsworth High School graduate, 2019?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Difficult to forget, Devin.
I know, I love Devin. So Devin was a Bridge Academy law enforcement student from Ellsworth High School who did Bridge Academy, took advantage of every opportunity we gave him, and he got brought into the dean's office at Thomas College. He's graduating in December.
That's crazy.
Having graduated from 2019, he will graduate with his 4-year degree because they accepted his Bridge courses.
That's 2.5
So
years.
that's 2.5 years. And if you think about the cost savings and the time
Absolutely.
savings for him.
And that step into that career
And
so
he's going to
much
go
quicker.
right
Yeah.
into the workforce. And
Right.
I got the sweetest message from his mom over the holidays, just telling me about the meeting and what impactful work all of these programs have been for him, and how much she appreciated all we did for him. And he's a great kid.
Without this type of.
And that's
program.
without this.
That's just with the.
That's not
the
with,
bridge.
that's just with
Yeah.
Bridge. And his, he works at Union River Lobster Pot for Brian, and he's a darn good worker for Brian. And those work skills he got through his CTE programming. So, it's not just this pathway. I really wish more. Every year, we don't fill our Bridge program, and it blows my mind every year how we
Yeah.
don't fill it. But I really think people don't understand it.
Right, I agree.
And no matter how often we do parent nights, people don't attend, and people
Right.
just don't know what they don't know.
Right.
So the more we can talk about
Absolutely.
these opportunities and get this out there, hopefully the more it'll
Right.
catch on.
I hope you and Brian aim high and hit every other career
What-
path because the workforce needs you desperately.
Right. This is
Yeah.
all the difference between keeping our grads working in state and having to have them leave the state to make an income, to raise a family. This is,
Student loans.
right. And not only that, but I see this as, this makes our town so valuable. When you come to
That
Ellsworth, it doesn't matter what kind of background you are from, you can do something like this,
Yeah.
and you can launch yourself into a real career because of the opportunities that we are providing, and you have arranged for these kids, and become, extremely meaningful, career-orientated people who are going to give back to their community one day. It's, you don't see this opportunity in other places, and a lot of people don't understand that, and it makes living in this town so valuable.
Well, and something that I should share is just if you do this pathway, it doesn't mean you have to go to Eastern Maine Community College.
Right.
And that's the other
Yeah.
thing I want to say is they have been very good and generous about understanding that kids are kids. They're going to change their mind. They're going to make decisions here and there along the way, and they're going to stumble and fall. And if they end up in the Eastern Maine Community College nursing program, that's a bonus for them. But they see it as an opportunity to provide college credits for kids
Right.
and really build a pathway for students in our area and help fill the nursing needs. So we're pretty excited
And
about
it's
it.
right now, paying for college is such a hot topic in our society, and it's something my husband always tells you, is like, there's so many careers, such as nursing, such as pharmacy, such as, a lot of medical fields. It doesn't matter what college you went to.
No.
You're gonna start at the same rate.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
you
absolutely.
might find maybe $1 or $2 different, but no,
The work is the work.
right.
The degree is the degree.
But it matters how much debt you walk away with.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's something this year in recruiting, I really tried to talk to kids about, is average debt for a family.
Right.
It's taking kids 6 years on average to graduate with a 4-year degree, not 4. It's on
Absolutely.
average of 6 years.
Right.
Yeah. And balancing that with the career that you're headed into and the income and the salary and
Yes.
paying back those student loans, that can
Right.
go the other way pretty easily.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
This is amazing. Yeah.
It is. Thank you for doing this work.
Oh, no
Yeah,
problem.
absolutely.
Jane Stackpole says to me that you should add a teacher preparation program.
That's a good idea.
There we
Jane is
go.
very supportive. She is very supportive.
I think you'd have just about every industry reach out and
Yeah.
and ask for a different career path. 'Cause
Well, I
this is
think
awesome.
we're finding now is we've had kind of a shift, because we've had a shift in enrollment the last few years. We've had some great local kids graduate and get really good jobs, and we've been trying to showcase those.
Absolutely.
On our Facebook and website. And now parents are coming back to us and giving us their feedback. And so that loop is starting to happen. And we also have to remember that our current 8th graders, which is my son's class, it's coincidentally that's when that middle school CTE legislation was passed.
Yep.
So this 8th grade group really got the benefits of some of our middle school activities back starting in 5th grade. And what I've heard from the Ellsworth High School guidance counselors is they are blown away, 8th grade registration when they asked, are you interested in HCTC?
Yes.
Or even before they were able to ask the question, the kid and the parent was saying, we're going, we're going, we're going. So I think that stereotype and tide is turning, at least I hope,
Absolutely.
knock
Well,
on
and when you
wood.
look at the projects that those students.
Yeah, these
the
aren't your-
students put
yeah.
out
Yeah.
This past year with the projects that they did on, Lyme disease and.
I know.
And all of those things, those are incredible projects that even people who are in the field wouldn't necessarily have been doing
Yeah.
that type of research on. Like, there is an incredible opportunity, and there's an incredible amount of intellect that
Yes.
students are bringing.
Yeah,
And
I
they're
agree.
hopefully taking advantage of all of the options, and it sounds like a lot of them are, which is.
Yeah.
And this makes us compatible, this makes us competitive on a global level with education. And that is something in this day and age, I cannot stress how important that is.
It's amazing.
you.
Excellent. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Can I leave the meeting?
You want to end the meeting? Yeah, that's just.
Can I end the meeting?
I just don't want to end it for everybody.
For everybody, right, that's right. All right, thank you, Amy.
I appreciate it.
Item number 2 under new business is update on end-of-year event planning, but I feel like we've covered this in pretty great length.
Mr. Clifford, Ms. Gavinelli, Mrs. Bowles have already kicked that.
Yes. And April, you don't really, volunteers for field day. Okay, excellent. So we will move on from that. Item number 3 is discussion of board meeting access and public comment protocols and streaming of board meetings and workshops. So, Dan, do you want to explain the new protocols for the City
We
Hall?
can talk just briefly about it. I think many of you are familiar with it. The City Council, I think it was a meeting or two ago, has changed their protocol where they've expanded access. The second floor auditorium is now available for citizens to come and participate in the meeting. There's a Zoom presentation up there, so there can be live communication, so somebody could do, I believe, public comment from there. There's also the opportunity to come down if there's space and do it right here from the podium. The other thing, and we've talked about it a little bit here tonight, we still have the mandate for 6 feet, so I don't know if we can eliminate the table down front, but as Kelly said earlier, we may be able to move that up a little bit and have more chairs in here. So with that, what the city has also done is they have stopped having the public comment via email. And I think that's the way that we should go. Have people come here, and again, it's much better to see people in person than by email. I think the email has served its purpose because a lot of people have been able to, through the course of the pandemic, make their comments. But the thing that we would need to do is simply decide as a group that we want to adopt and be consistent with what the council is doing, and have our IT department work with the city's IT department to make sure that on our meeting nights, whenever we decide to make this effective, that we can have the Zoom link up in the second floor. We talked with City Manager Mosier, and he said, no, it's working well for them, and I see no reason why we can follow suit.
Yep.
Question would be, when do you as a board want to start?
So we can have that discussion. I had mentioned, I think it would be great to start it, we have our workshop on May 25th. Granted, we don't typically get a lot of attendance for a workshop, but at least we could begin it at that time and then going forward into our June meetings. And so with that, I mean, obviously the discussion would be, we're going to be stopping the email comments. We won't be having Beth having to update throughout the whole meeting.
So Beth is retiring from that.
So Beth would be retiring from her position.
Congratulations, Beth.
Right? That was a long career.
That was, yeah. It was a good run. And then we would have that space available, and like Dan said, whether it be that they can comment from there and we see them here, we're not sure of the logistics of that, or if they would just come downstairs, comment, and then leave or return back upstairs to watch the
And one
rest.
thing I don't know, some of you may know, is just how much they have had to use the overflow room. When you look in here, and there are still some spaces where we could put additional chairs.
Right.
Even with our presenters that we have every month, you can still fit a fair number of people in here. So I don't know
Yeah.
how often the council is using the expansion room, but it's available, it's there.
Right. So,
I'm hearing the board is interested in trying to make that effective on the 25th.
I think so.
I like it.
They're like,
In-person meeting, no more email public comment. Public comment will be here in person.
And are we also talking about taking the comments off the Facebook?
yes, so that was
That's
going to be the
I think
next.
that's the next piece.
Okay,
So,
wasn't sure.
no, so the next thing, and Dan and I talked about this earlier, we don't know that it was necessarily a vote to bring it into consideration, so we don't necessarily need a vote to remove it, but the board has been discussing and talking about the fact that we have our Facebook Live videos. And at times, the comments on there have been completely unnecessary. The board does not have any way to be monitoring that all along. And a lot of times also, there will be questions that will get asked as if somebody's there and they're monitoring it and there's a way to answer, so other people are answering. And in the past couple of months, it's come to the board's attention that there have been, now mind you, these Facebook Live feeds are on our school pages. So our Ellsworth High School live stream, our Ellsworth High School page live streams our board meetings, and that's accessible to our students, it's it's accessible to anybody. It's a public page, and there have been comments that have just not been appropriate for a school board meeting. And so we have talked about this briefly, and now we'd like to see if we have a consensus that we would be remaining to post those, and they would be live, but there would be no comment possibility. If you have a comment for our school board in a meeting, you need to arrive here and give a public comment. And of course, you can always email a board member or somebody that you would need to be contacting for a question about your concerns. But that was something that we wanted to bring up tonight and possibly remove.
And that is something to note, that you could still email like Jen was just mentioning, you could
Yep.
still email a board member
Mhm.
with a concern or a comment or a question. However, it likely is not going to be read during that meeting.
No.
It might be responded to via an email from
And
the board member.
I'd like to stress it wouldn't be.
Or a suggestion for them to come to a later
Right.
meeting to ask their questions.
I'd like to stress that it wouldn't be. And board members are not going to be answering emails and opening emails during a board meeting or a workshop.
Right.
I think another way to say it is that the same avenues that citizens or parents have to reach out with concerns, whether it be to a board member, to me, to an administrator, to a teacher, those are still available to everybody. It's just that
Absolutely.
what I'm hearing, the public comment piece will now be in person
Mhm.
with the change in meeting protocol. And the consideration is to still live stream the meetings on Facebook, but to disable the comment piece,
Right.
positive or
Absolutely.
negative.
Right, well,
To be
because
consistent.
yeah, we have to keep language, suitable, whether it be a board meeting or anything else being put onto that page, suitable for high school students to read that.
Anybody.
Right, but kind of going down to the lowest common denominator, one of the problems has been some of the language has not been suitable. And we need to stress that, because even once we take this off of the live feed comments, it also needs to apply to anything else being posted to those pages, not just, so please keep that in mind. But the avenues to reach out have always been there, will always be there.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, we're not, it's not that we're limiting, we're more following the traditional rules.
Yeah.
And I just want to stress that, agendas are posted in advance. You have the opportunity both in the newspaper, and I always see agendas posted on various Ellsworth
Yes.
School Facebook pages. So people have an idea, this is what's going to be talked about. So if you feel like you need to comment, you have that opportunity to plan ahead and be here. It's, and we've been talking about the different rules. Comments do have to be subject orientated to that agenda.
To the item.
Right. So just so people understand that, but yeah, we're
Just kind of moving more towards the traditional.
Back to normal. We keep saying that tonight, but it does feel like we're, approaching where those
that might look like.
those protocols and
Right.
guidelines can be readopted, and we'll be back to where we were.
right.
Are you ready
Um,
for a motion, Jen?
I'm ready.
Okay. I make a motion that we follow and suit with the city council and public comment be done in person only. And we will continue to live stream meetings, but remove the option for comment on our Facebook page.
Excellent, thank you.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 4, board acknowledgement of personnel committee action on behalf of the board and confirming teacher nominations.
And the Personnel Committee did meet on 2 occasions, April 15th and April 26th. So there is a bio in there for 3 teachers that they have confirmed on on the board's behalf.
Mhm.
Ms. Cohesion, Ms. Mcnally would like to talk about that, or I can?
You can, I felt very confident in all of their bios, and I think they're gonna be great
They looked
additions to our
great.
staff.
Yeah, they absolutely did.
We'll just tell you for the public, so we're very fortunate to have the Personnel Committee confirm on your behalf the nomination of Christopher Morris, grade 5 through 8 special education teacher. Comes very highly recommended. And,
Another additional employee.
It's your day.
Ryan Lowell, who will be an English teacher at Ellsworth High School next year.
Excellent.
Teaching sophomore English, also comes very highly recommended. And position we've been trying to fill for quite some time, our technology integration teacher. We have Catherine Hollenbach, who will be coming to us from New Jersey, and also very highly recommended. Very much recommended by our in-house interview committee and also the interview that I did. So our personnel committee has confirmed them, and what we're looking for tonight is acknowledgement of the personnel committee's action on your behalf.
All right. I will make a motion to acknowledge the Personnel Committee's April 15th, 2021 confirmation of the superintendent's nomination of Christopher Morris to a first-year probationary contract for the 2021-2022 school year, and April 26th, 2021 confirmation of Ryan Lowell to a first-year probationary contract for the 2021-2022 school year, and Catherine Hollenbach for a first-year probationary contract for the 2021-2022 school year. How'd I do? Let's get that.
Excellent.
I'll second
It's a lot of 21s.
It was a lot.
It was. Super. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. So many happy administrators. Look back there. The public can't usually see them, but they are smiling.
Welcome to our school. and-
Erica's dance program.
There we go. That's right.
Very exciting.
Excellent. All right. Item number 5 is board acknowledgement of the Finance Committee action on behalf of board improving bids.
And that was the Finance Committee meeting that Ms. Alexander talked about. You have the materials in there. This was storage shed at EEMS that was submitted by Chuck Turnbull. Low bid is included in there. Was also 2 CTE equipment updates, one for the early childhood program, one for the automotive program. There were 1 bid for the early childhood program. As you know, if you look at Mrs. Bowles' documentation, that's the one provider, that's what they need. So that was really an easy choice, but she did get 3 bids for the automotive program and recommended the low bid. And the Finance Committee has approved that on your behalf. So once again, we're looking for your acknowledgement as a board of their action.
I will make a motion to acknowledge the Finance Committee's approval of bids for the purchase of a storage shed for EEMS, CTE equipment update for HCTC automotive program, and the CTE equipment update for the early childhood program.
Excellent.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
So thank you.
That bid on that shed was really good.
Yes, it was.
Is anybody else like looking at
Yes,
their
it
yard
was.
like, could I?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
could put one of those out
I
there.
heard someone else say that too, Abby, in that meeting.
Yes. It was a very good price.
It was.
Just saying. Okay. Item number 6, resolution to approve the Chromebook bid and lease.
This is not deja vu.
We have done this already.
We reached out to Drummond. Drummond actually serves as the counsel not only for the school department in these matters, but also for the vendor for whom we were recommending the lease. So
We had to redo the bid.
Bill Stockmeyer has put it into this format, and what the recommendation is what's written in the pink minutes, which is a reflection of what's in the document. So what you're doing is the shorter version as presented, and that's to approve, yet again, the bid for the Chromebooks that you approved, and also the low bid for the lease.
I make a motion that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize $193,399.50 acquisition and lease purchase of Chromebook computer equipment be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that an attested copy of that resolution be included with the minutes of this meeting.
I will second that. Any discussion?
May I just add one thing, in case you have a question? If you look in a couple of the items, it talks about, and this is something that Drummond is recommending, that the superintendent and business manager acting singly are authorized to covenant on behalf of the issuer. So what that means is, I can sign it, or Carolyn can sign it after it's been approved.
Okay.
And I think that's a good recommendation from the board's counsel, and it's certainly an expression of faith in your business manager.
All right. Excellent. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
And I promise you that won't come back for a third time next month.
So item number 7, we decided to skip at the beginning of the meeting. So item number 8, confirmation of superintendent's nomination for second year probationary contracts.
And this is an annual process that you undergo. Teachers on the first list on this item are teachers that we're nominating for a second-year probationary contract for the 2021-2022 school year. And I will let you know that these are teachers that are the last group that will have 3 probationary years. That law has changed, effective teachers that we hired for next year. But you have a group: Martha Baldwin, Gretchen Blank, Mark Ensworth, Casey Frederick, Amber Kirby, Mariana Lowell, Tara Mason, Jennifer Trowbridge, Jane White, and Mark Whiteout.
I move that we confirm the superintendent's nomination of the teachers that he just listed as second-year probationary contracts for the 2021-2022 school year.
I second that motion. Any discussion?
I like your style, Paul.
That's right. As stated. All those in favor? Thank you.
Mr. Markosian, may I take that as you'd like me to read the names again, so that whoever does the motion?
Yes.
Well, I'm happy to read the names myself if you'd like.
Excellent.
I'll leave it to your choice. If you'd like me to do it, I may, and if you'd like to do it, you may.
Item number 9 is confirmation of superintendent's nomination for third-year probationary contracts.
All right, I'll read them this time. And then you
Oh, there we
can
go.
read
Okay, that's ideal.
All right, we're ready.
I move to confirm the superintendent's nomination of the following teachers as presented to third-year probationary contracts for the 2021-2022 school year: Beverly Brown, Leanna Connors, Megan Curtis, Nicole Donnelly, Gabriel Holt, Cheryl Keeney, Katie Lacasse, Maren Leach, Holly Libby, Paige Morse, James Newitt, Sarah Palmer, Melissa Richard, and Jennifer Smith.
I will second that. Any discussion? All those in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Item number 10, consideration of superintendent's nomination for continuing contracts.
This is after a 3-year probationary period. Teachers being nominated for continuing contract are Jamie Anderson, Christopher Betts, Leslie Billings, Allison Briggs, Nathan Cutting, Kristen Fickett, Yammer Gunnell Briggs, Katie Hessler, Jasmine Ireland, Ernest Linders, Tracy Lowe, Aaron Malinowski, Josh McCormick, Beth Mitchell, Dylan Patterson, and Heather Weymouth.
And I move to confirm the superintendent's nomination of the teachers he just listed as to continuing contracts for the 2021-2022 school year.
I second that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor? 5-0.
Thank you.
Item number 11, consideration of full-time administrator contracts.
And you have the list in here, and again, this is a list where the following administrators are being recommended for a 3% increase in their wage and to extend their contract by a year. And if you think about the year of the pandemic, and this is not the additional hours, the additional days, the additional time. This is the way that their work changed, as everyone else's did, over the past year, and actually the longer than the past year, since last March when things closed down. You know, you people have praised them, you've praised all of our staff, but they've done an incredible job in a very difficult year, in a year that none of us hope we ever have to do again. So that would be Amy Bowles, Director at HCTC, April Clifford, Principal EES, Dan Clifford, Principal EHS, Ray Daly, your Food Service Director, Josh Frost, EHS Athletic Administrator, Erica Gabinelli, EMS Principal, Carolyn Heller, Business Manager, Laura Johns, IT Director, Rachel Coleman Ramos, Curriculum Coordinator, Carol Ann McEachran Murphy, Director of Special Ed, Ann Sargent, Director of Adult Ed, Don Saunders, Transportation Supervisor. If he were here, he would serenade you. Chuck Turnbull, Director of Facilities and Maintenance, Matthew Wiberly, Assistant Director of Special Ed, not assistant. Travis Wood, Assistant Principal Athletic Administrator at EMS, and Rebecca Wright, Assistant Principal at Ellsworth High School.
I would like to talk about some of this in executive session. I don't know how everyone else feels. In order to move into executive session, we do need a 3/5 vote. You'd have to make a motion, then it would need to be seconded and voted on.
I make a motion that we move to executive session to talk about this.
Hearing no second, the motion fails. I would like to make a motion to approve full-time administrator contracts for the 2021-2022 school year in accordance with the terms and conditions of employment as presented and recommended by the superintendent.
I second that.
Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Mhm.
So, with this particular recommendation, it's a recommended same raise across the board.
Correct.
If we vote on this, vote to yes on this right now, does that mean that there is not an option for future discussion of possibly more raise?
So that's interesting. Yep.
Clarify, yeah.
We can, no, it doesn't rule that out. And the other thing that we've discussed that has not been brought completely to the table yet was, again, I guess I should say, is the recommendation from the Finance Committee for possible stipends for those administrators, as listed. And so, even though this is what the typical historical yearly increase is, that does not rule out, or it does not mean that that won't be coming forward. That is in the works, but we have not been able to finalize the pieces of funding, so we need to wait until that's set before we can bring that forward to the board. I would expect that'll be coming in the next week or two.
But if we approve this now, when can we talk about other raises? Because traditionally, once we've approved this, we've not come back to it again for a whole nother year. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm talking about a different thing maybe than what Beth is asking for then, because the stipend would be in addition to
Right,
this.
Right, yeah, so I'm also wondering, like, okay, so if we're, in doing an across-the-board raise, it's not taking into consideration if someone has done, additional trainings or additional,
Correct.
furthering their professional.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if we agree on the 3% across the board now, does that mean that we could not later look at some of those individual places where maybe some people should be?
So what we need to remember is that Ellsworth is not a district that does merit-based pay. So if the board is interested in restructuring something like that, that's going to have to be a discussion where we go down the road and we set up a workshop and we discuss what that would look like. Traditionally, that is not how this district has done it, so that would be considered merit-based pay. That's based on performance and your evaluation. And that is not something that
Okay.
Ellsworth has done.
No, I appreciate.
If we would
I
like
appreciate-
to,
No,
if-
I appreciate that
Mhm.
explanation,
Yeah.
because I know that, a lot of places do things a lot, differently.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to clarify,
Right.
that this is the
Yes.
standard of how things
Mhm.
are usually, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't shortchanging anybody
Yep.
by doing it across the board.
If the board wants to move into something like that, then that's something we would have to talk about possibly over the summer when we, had discussed a retreat. That information would be
And
good.
it may be a healthy discussion.
Absolutely.
But
Mhm.
we also have to think, we're asking for a 3% raise. On a normal year, that might be in line with inflation. That's not in line with this year's inflation. This year's inflation is a lot more.
What is the inflation rate for 2021,
I'm going to
2022?
look it up, but every single thing I just bought, put in my car, just went way up.
No, I understand the, right.
That's why I'm
I
but you see what I'm
understand,
saying?
but that's,
Why-
right, but then you're also looking at cost of living. And there's a rate, there is a national standard. Typically, it's 1.2, 1.4, right in that area.
And I
So
believe it's in that range right now.
So 3% is above and beyond the cost of living increase.
According to Statista.com, whatever you would like to, however much merit you would like to give that inflation rate is
Which-
2.26%.
Right.
Mhm.
That was just the first thing that came up on my Google search.
So that's inflation.
I don't have any idea.
That's versus last year of 1.8. So this is what I'm saying, is that this year, this raise does not go as far. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying. It's not so it would be, you'd be factoring in not just inflation, but cost of living.
Just all kinds of things, yes.
Right. So, yes, I understand.
And once we vote on this, we don't, just like she was saying, we don't get to come back and rediscuss it. We don't come back to this topic for another year.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Well,
Because
but
we
you
can
know.
bring that up
There's
at any
nothing to
point we
preclude
wanted
us
to.
from coming back.
Absolutely
But
not.
we've never before
we've never had inflation rates that
I'm just saying it's a
diverge
really different year.
dramatically from what they had been in the years since we've been back at the Ellsworth School Department. Inflation's been hovering around 2% or less, so.
Right.
If we find extraordinary circumstances where cost of living spiked a lot more than where it's trended in recent years, I think that would be something that might make us come back and look at these contracts and what we want to do about them. But right now,
And we may be taking a look at some point when we talk about stipends anyway, so.
I agree, and I
this would
think-
be giving that.
I agree. Right.
Right,
For the
but
administrators
stipends are
and-
just for 1 year. You know, sometimes we have to look at rate of pay because we want going forward to have that baseline be at least this.
Mhm.
So I'm saying that I do feel like we need to look at certain baselines.
Mhm. And I don't think that that's something that we can't arrange to do, you know, whether it's looking at a salary restructuring, or we're looking at what the
National
base pay,
averages
national, yeah, and factoring in all of those things.
That's why I'm,
And there's a lot of data that we are able to access every year that we have. Personnel Committee, excuse me, has seen that. Talked about it earlier today.
it's just,
So there's plenty of opportunities to have that conversation.
But this is the day we actually vote on it, so I kind of feel like this conversation has to happen. Because we're, you know, as a board, we have to vote on this for a reason. And as a board member, I feel like there are variables here. But this is just me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I certainly appreciate it. I think it's a couple different issues, and so I appreciate wanting to give the administrators an increase above 3%. I don't think that's in question. I think that's great intent. It can't be at a performance level. So if that's
So
the
it has to
case,
be
then it has to be for every administrator across the board, because that's not how we're structured. So the other piece of that would be the cost piece to the budget, so I'm not sure.
Well, I guess I would say this, when you look at education, you know, and you mentioned merit-based pay. Merit-based pay is something that came about a couple of years ago in Maine in a couple of districts. A couple of districts experimented with it, and they walked away from it.
Yeah.
If you look at the way most of your collective bargaining agreements are, you've got a negotiations update coming up here in a minute. Typically, and this is not with a philosophical bent, but typically in education, what you've seen are people that increase by a year of experience get the same rate of increase. Would it be a healthy discussion for the board to have to say, do we want to look at something different? I think it would be a good discussion. I think you look at a lot of data, could have a lot of conversation. To me, when you look at a pandemic year, when you look at the work that these folks did, you know, there's discussion that the Finance Committee is having about a stipend. I think 3% in this year is a very fair wage increase. Abby, I don't disagree with you. I look at
I
the
know,
work these
I
folks have
know.
done.
Right.
They're worth more than that.
Right, and I know you feel like that, and that's.
I do.
Yeah, I
I've
know all of you
said that over
do.
and over,
That's
so.
not even in question.
Yep.
But I think this is a path forward. It recognizes them for the work that they've done over the course of this year. You'll have another discussion on
On
the
the
above and
stipend.
beyond piece.
Which I think the board will also appreciate, as well as our administrators, but the board will also appreciate that the Finance Committee is working on that, and that's in addition to, because our administrators didn't fall under that same category as our staff did, where they were able to be paid above and beyond for hours. And so this stipend, right, this stipend that we're proposing is to do just that, to, you know, to pay above and beyond for what was done. And then, I mean, we're hoping that going into next year, they aren't working all of the hours that they were doing this year, too.
I would like to tell them they need to take some vacation days.
Absolutely.
That's a different story right
Right.
now.
Yes, absolutely.
So I am not the 3%. I'm fine with the 3%. I wish we could pay them more.
I know.
All of them more. They
Agreed.
deserve it, and I know how hard they've worked this year. So I've really struggled with this item, not because of contracts, but because we have a policy, GCOG, that states that there will be evaluations of administrators in written form, and the superintendent will provide us a report of those evaluations for us to use during consideration of contract and salary decisions. that hasn't happened, and that's a concern. However, I don't feel like it's fair for us to not move forward with contracts and salaries tonight. But I just think that that needs to be noted.
That's an evaluation.
And for next year, that needs.
All right. I think what we have so far would be an understanding that we all would like to further the discussion on possibly changing that. Like Dan had mentioned, whether it is to merit-based pay, which would be what Beth is speaking of, or whether it means we're restructuring. So it would be a great discussion, and I think we should plan on that to be maybe after this academic year is over and we're not worrying so much about the daily logistics and that type of thing, that we have that conversation where we have the opportunity to gather more data, see what some averages are, and kind of go from there. And I think going forward, it's important that we understand there are things that have been important to this board, and we all know that moving forward this summer, there's a lot of things that we wanted to speak on, and continue building and growing on with what we expect from the district. Further discussion on this, because we do have a first and a second. So the motion was to approve the full-time administrator contracts for the 2021-2022 school year in accordance with the terms and conditions of employment as presented and recommended by the superintendent, seconded by Paul. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Item number 12, negotiations update. This does have a possible executive session under 1 MRSA 4056A. I don't know if anybody feels the need to enter.
Don't we have to enter for negotiations up there?
It would depend upon the nature of the update.
Okay.
You certainly have the right to. That's why we put that on there. Typically, when we're involved in bargaining, the members of that committee will provide an update.
And you all have an update for us.
We can give an update. I
Would you-
would move to go into executive
Okay.
session for the update.
All right, so I'll make a motion to enter executive session under 1 MRSA 4056A for the sole purpose of receiving an update on negotiations. We will need to return from this, but I think it's safe. Can we?
Do you want to do
I was
calendar
gonna say,
announcements?
I was going to wait for
Okay.
discussion, say
Perfect.
calendar announcements, and
Yep,
then
that'd be super.
everyone else can go home.
Right.
Right.
All right, so hold that thought. Item
And I told Mike
K.
out in the IT room that he could go home when we went to executive session, so I want to hold true to that.
Okay, excellent. All right, so item K under calendar and announcements. Thursday, May 20th, we have a school board workshop here in City Hall, council chambers at 6 PM. Possible special meeting, if we have a couple of,
The possible special meeting would be if we have information on the stipend question that the
Yes.
Finance Committee is waiting for.
Tuesday, May 25th, school board workshop here, 6 o'clock. And Tuesday, June 8th, our school board meeting at 6 o'clock.
And that's council chambers, so we've got to be careful on that, because that's
Oh,
budget
right.
validation referendum night, so we
Right,
right.
will get back to you.
To be
Typically-
determined on the
Yeah,
place. then.
Typically, we have met either at HCTC or EEMS. I'm looking to Mrs. Bowles. June 8th? Tentatively, let's plan on it there, and I think we would live stream it. Certainly wouldn't be on the public access television, but we would live stream it.
On the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a
Excellent.
secondary at Flex It.
Excellent. All right. So we really can't adjourn, correct?
No, you need a second to go into executive session, then once you go into executive session, we can thank everyone and let these folks go home.
Anybody,
Second.
any discussion about that? All those in favor?
And it is 8 o'clock.
We will be now entering executive session. Thank you to everybody who came tonight.
Thank you, folks.
We
Have a good night.
appreciate you.
And
Thank you.
Wait for the lights, guys.